Today, guys, we're going to talk about the full moon in Capricorn that we have going on either Friday or Saturday, June 21st or 22nd, depending where in the world you are. Technically universal time. This full moon is happening on Saturday, June 22nd at 1:08. But if we translate that into Eastern Standard Time, where I am, it's happening on Friday the 21st at 9:08 p.m. Eastern time. Now, this is a very interesting full moon in Capricorn that we have going on because, for one, it's happening very, very closely to our summer solstice this year. The summer solstice happens every year. We have our longest day of the year, of course, also our first day of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere, and we begin to move more into the Cancerian energy as, of course, the sun's entrance into the sign of Cancer always marks our summer solstice. Now, what is interesting to me about this particular solstice is the fact that this particular full moon in Capricorn is essentially aligning with it. We have this solstice on Friday, and then by the end of the day Friday, we have this full moon coming in. I just got done saying the summer solstice occurs when the sun hits the 0-degree Cancer Capricorn axis point, and our full moon in Capricorn right now happens to be at 1 degree on the Capricorn Cancer axis polarity point. So it's right there. The full moon is conjunct the solstice point, and this in itself is, I feel like, giving some indications in terms of what we are moving towards and what the energy might look like for us throughout the course of this full moon cycle. And we're going to talk about that as we get further into the report. I do want to say, before I forget, welcome back to my channel, you guys. My name is Aubrey. On this channel, we narrate the shift of the ages. In that regard, today we are on the page in our cosmic blueprint that is being represented by this full moon in Capricorn / summer solstice energy that's playing out. And I will say right off the bat, endings and beginnings, like a change of guard, I feel like is represented quite specifically in terms of the energy that is going to begin to build now. Full moons, like, this is always, like I said, this is the midpoint of our Gemini season energy, our new moon in Gemini. We have coming to like a climax with this full moon. We had that 2 weeks ago, and here we are at 1 degree Capricorn and Cancer, and we have the full moon coming into alignment. If you guys have been following my work, I've been noticing, I've been saying that this particular Gemini season, to me, I mean, all Gemini season, all Gemini energy always emphasizes and represents like doubles, twins, and also contrast and polarities, things that are very alike, similar, and things that are very contrasting and contradictory and different. And probably because of the fact that we currently have Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, among other things, I have felt like this particular Gemini season has been giving these themes of like doubling and also polarizing very, very strong, like kind of very highlighted, very pure Gemini expression of energy coming through this Gemini season. And now listen to this. This full moon that we have going on at 1 degree, coming in at 1 degree Capricorn and Cancer, it is actually the first of 2 full moons that we're going to be having on the Capricorn Cancer axis throughout the course of the next 4 weeks. The next one will come on, I believe it's July 21st, and it's going to be at the later degrees, either 28 or 29 degrees of the signs of Capricorn and Cancer as well. So we are actually getting 2 full moons in this signal axis throughout the course of the next month, and like the first one is our midpoint in our Gemini season energy, which is, like I said, really emphasizing this theme of like doubling, reflection, and also contrast and polarity. And I feel like this, as I said just a minute ago, the way that this energy is coming together this cycle, and there's a big grand cross playing out at the sky, and if you don't want to count the black moon side of that, which we'll talk about, it's a T-square regardless. Like, we're at a crossroads, sort of, like things are coming to a head. This is a transition point in terms of, I feel like, the tension that is going to begin to build throughout the course of actually this series of full moons, or this couple of full moons between this one and the one that's going to happen in the middle of July. A lot is going to go on between now and then. Remember, full moons are energetic high points. This is the climax of any lunar cycle, right? When the sun and the moon come into opposition with each other. But I just feel like the way that this is set up right now, the way that our chart is set up and things are coming together, we are definitely going to see some things begin to come to a head, change, and transition pretty significantly between now and, again, that next full moon that comes up next month in July. So that being said, this is happening 1 degree 7 minutes exactly, Capricorn Cancer, for those of you that want to know the exact degree placement, which is also interesting because I read the Sabian symbols on this channel, which those of you who have been here with me for a while know, but what those are is a group of symbols that describe each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. And whenever we have a planet at a specific point making an aspect, discharging a degree, I like to reference the symbolism associated with that degree, just to get an extra layer of symbolic interpretation to apply sort of as an overlay to the transits and the aspects. And a lot of times the symbolism is very validating in terms of the aspects that are happening just in and of themselves. And when we read the Sabian symbols, we always round up a degree. We read the wave of energy that is incoming, not the wave that is like waning out and dissipating. And so in that regard, when we're looking at the energy for this full moon at 1 degree and 7 minutes exactly of the signs of Cancer and Capricorn, we are actually looking at 2 degrees of those signs in terms of the Sabian symbols. So when I get to the symbolism associated with this, and just in terms of the way that I'm looking at this chart, I'm looking at the 2nd degree, which is interesting to me, again, considering we have 2 full moons going on and we're in this Gemini season, right, which is literally the glyph of 2 and has everything to do with doubles and reflecting on things. That's a major theme that has been coming up energetically throughout this Gemini season. And also, I'm telling you guys, like, it was notable. If you guys watched my new moon in Gemini video, I was talking about this. It was notable at the time via the aspects and the degree placements, also the symbolism involved. But there's a process, like literally, of some type of maturation or like expanding our mind, growing up somehow, like becoming something more, evolution in some context or another, that is represented and that is underway right now. And I think that that is also somehow incorporated in some of the conflicts that could be coming into fruition over this next couple of weeks. And the reason I say conflicts is because, again, I'm looking at a full moon chart that is featuring this big grand cross right in the middle of the chart, having to do with the full moon and also Neptune in an opposition to the black moon right now. And that's what I'm looking at. And that's what we're really going to be talking about in terms of the overall subject matter, where I'm drawing all of this information from. There is really only one predominant aspect that I feel like is coming through in this chart, and that is that either a T-square if you don't want to count the black moon, but because it's exact and the black moon operates in polarities, I'm counting the Neptune black moon opposition at 29 degrees of the sign of Pisces as a significant polarity that's playing out. And polarities are a big theme right now, right? Because we're in this Gemini season that is all about polarities. It's all about things that are the same and things that are different and doubling things and reflecting on things. Of course, Gemini Mercury energy has a lot to do with a lot of other things as well. But just in terms of the vibrational emphasis, in terms of the archetype, I feel like those are sort of like the strands of the frequencies of the Gemini energy that are like ringing out the most clearly as we're moving through this particular Gemini season, Gemini cycle and period of time right now. So now let's get into it. Let's bring all of this together. As I said, I'm focusing, what I'm seeing mostly is this To me, I'm perceiving it as a grand cross. You could also call it a T-square that is setting up between the full moon itself and Neptune and the black moon. Now, we have Neptune and the black moon in their opposition at 29 degrees of the signs of Pisces and Virgo. Neptune is at the very last degree of the zodiac itself, the very last degree of his sign of rulership. This is indicating to me like the end of the end of the end of the end, and somehow. And Neptune is also associated with Pisces, the last sign of the zodiac, and it's associated with the 12th house, which is having to do with the unconscious and things that are very untangible. And it also, Neptune is an energy that has to do with like the spirit world and where we sort of dissolve from material existence back into all that is. It has to do, Neptune at 29 degrees of the sign of Pisces, you guys, it has to do with endings. The black moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, this has to do with endings in relation to fears that have essentially like colored our mind and our thinking in such a way that have created illusions that we have been unable to do things, unable to rely on ourselves, unable to trust ourselves, unable to produce, unable to do things correctly, okay? And a paradigm that has been going on for a long period of time in which, you know, us as individuals or humanity as a collective has been unable to trust themselves essentially, and has therefore surrendered power to an authority that has functioned to provide security and essentially like meet the needs of that collective. Like that is an energy that we are coming out of right now. And those fears or those projections or those narratives or those belief systems or those compartmentalized ways of viewing things that have held individuals, and I said like humanity as a greater collective, in these states essentially of suspended animation because of an inability to trust in one's own capabilities to do the right thing or make the right choice, and just this like subconscious fear of an inherent weakness essentially that has again like caused the surrender of the personal power. This, I do think, is what is being indicated as coming to the end. I feel like this is where, like, the inability to be guided by, like, our own internal compass or through our own emotional intelligence or through an ability to, like, be our own inner authority on one level because of some type of fears, subconscious fears that we've been holding within, maybe not even being aware of it. Like this is, to me, what is in the crosshairs right now as we are sort of birthing this new frequency or this new paradigm or this new experience or this new energy or this new perception or belief system within us that puts us back in a place of being our own inner authority and being able to trust ourselves more and our ability to provide for our own needs and our well-being and our security. It's very interesting to me the way that this particular very, very early first degree Capricorn Cancer full moon is playing out when we juxtapose it to the very, very, very end of the illusion of fear that has defined the paradigm. Remember, we are currently in a transitional process out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, out of an age where we essentially like all grouped together, surrendering collective power to some authority that we felt we needed in order to like support us in some way. And moving into the age of Aquarius, where this power is going to be decentralized and returned back to the collective of humanity as the collective of humanity undergoes individual processes of self-actualization. Now, why I'm bringing that up right now in the context of how this energy is coming together is because we have last degree opposition happening between Neptune and Pisces, black moon, 29 degrees, right? Mutable signs. Mutable signs are all about change. They're all about transition. They're all about breakdown, adaptation, things moving from one thing to something else, okay? And early degree, first degree cardinal energy. Cardinal energy is the active force. It's the force that makes things happen. It's where and that's why the cardinal cycles actually, Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, Aries, New moon cycles are sort of like the four corners on the medicine wheel. They're the four cardinal phases of the year. That is when we generally see things happen, action happen. It's because the cardinal signs are action inducing energy. And when we've got early degree, first degree cardinal sign energy, this is a new beginning. This is a new phase of activity. So the new phase of activity in this full moon is coming through. And remember, this is only part one, right, of part two that will come in July after Mars has conjoined Uranus. We've got a very interesting month coming up, but we've got to start right now. We have, you know, in alignment, right, with the solstice, which is also about the greatest amount of light. This is probably going to be a very fiery, passionate, heated energy that we're moving through over the next couple of weeks. But with the early degree cardinal signs in the square with the late degree mutable signs, whatever's in that late degree mutable signs, like that is ending. That is the force that is on the way out, that is coming into conflict with the force that is being birthed right now, with the first force that is being like spurred into action and that is on the way in and that is beginning to grow, which is the opposition between the sun and the moon, Capricorn, Cancer. So that being said, this is representing to me a conflict playing out right now, over this next couple of weeks, between the past and the future, being a critical point of contention and breakthrough in that regard as well. The defining feature of this full moon being that cross that is indicating endings and beginnings. But what is ending? Neptune and the black moon. Some fear that was always an illusion, but that made us feel like the Neptunian energy, like we can't do it, like we don't know how to make it happen, and we need some type of expert or some type of an authority or some type of hierarchical system to guide us on our way as we all group together under this like little spotlight, which is where we, you know, gain our information and our wisdom and our understanding from. That is very opposite to the energy that we're moving into right now, that is being like spurred forth and that is being sparked with this action-oriented full moon that is coming to fruition as well. I think that the grand cross playing out in and of itself during a full moon is representing a building emotional tension also in the context of this past and future, old and new coming that are clashing somehow, or a transference of power and control that is likely to feature some type of centralized power structure breaking down or giving way to a decentralized model of power that is actually, as I said, you know, empowering the individual or the collective more somehow, and not the previous established way of doing things. This is bringing up the polarities and the themes, I feel like, with Cancer, Capricorn being the axis this is happening on, of family values versus like corporate policy, or like mom and pop shop type of things versus corporations, working from home versus like working in the cubicle environment, self-motivated versus being conditioned to perform, and Neptune, the black moon, these false fears and narratives and illusions that have caused the collective energy to surrender our ability to meet maybe the needs of our families, of our communities, of our own general well-being, that we are incapable of knowing what's best for us, or that we need assistance somehow in knowing how to take care of our families or our communities, and therefore we have to outsource areas of our lives to like government appointed experts and stuff like that in order to be safe. Like with the Capricorn energy, okay, that is authority, that is the power structures, that is the frameworks of our reality, that is the old matrix, that is government, right? And with the Cancer energy, that is the home, that is the family, that is the community. So why am I saying all of this? In the context of the square with the fears and the illusions, it just, the way that all the puzzle pieces are fitting together to me in my perception, in the context of the greater overall cosmic blueprint that is unfolding right now. It just looks like the change that is underway, the transference in power that is underway, has to do with people snapping out of some type of an illusion that they were unable to essentially meet their own needs and take care of themselves, and therefore taking back power from those external authorities and experts that they had depended on to meet those needs in the past because they didn't trust themselves. Like, I just feel like that is the bigger story, okay, that is being told here, that is likely to trickle down and manifest in millions and millions of different ways and scenarios and versions of that same story, small and large. But those are the primary themes that I feel like this moon is really, really giving, and that concept applied a million ways. Like I said, we are at a collective transition point. People are going to begin to take their power back because they're going to begin trusting themselves and their capabilities again, and defying the narratives of the past, this Neptunian, the illusions of the past, this fantasy of fear induced by some type of a projected narrative or information or mindset. Black moon in the sign of Virgo. Do you guys see how all of this fits together? It is quite clear when you understand the polarities being represented, the signal meanings, and the planets that are involved and what they're doing. The degree placements right now are really important to me as well, like I said, with the 29 degrees, and also the very early first degrees with the sun and the moon and the full moon. The expert class, people are no longer, I feel like, really going to be needing or willing to comply with it, because they're going to realize they no longer require it for some reason, like the old rules, the old systems, and the narratives and projections that have been used to keep them in place by way of fear as a motivational factor somehow, that have propped up the framework of reality and the matrix from the past until this point in time. That is, to me, what is coming into the crosshairs as we go through this energy, that perpetuated collective personal delusion of inadequacy based on the fear of failure. That's what the Black Moon in Virgo translates into ultimately. Virgo is a sign about ultimately being able to bring things to a successful harvest. The inversion of that would be ultimately the fear of failure. So we are overcoming, and Neptune breaks things down, right? Neptune also dissolves and erodes things. So the Black Moon there, this is a dissolving and a breakdown at the 29th degree. This is the end of that way of being, that way of viewing things, that way of seeing reality, that way of, bending the knee for some type of a reason because we felt dependent on something that we couldn't generate or do for ourselves. And this is obviously not going to be like all encompassing in every aspect of our lives, but incrementally and over time, people are going to become much more self-reliant, I feel like, going forward, or at least from this point going forward. I think that what will start as a trickle in this energy is going to lead to the floodgates opening up in terms of the tapped human potential that is going to begin to manifest going forward. Now, on a more mundane level, of course, we're talking about Cancer and Capricorn. This is going to bring up issues to do with the home and work-life balance, perhaps very prominent this cycle. People, I think, also, though, are going to start betting on themselves more in the context of this. Like, people are going to be more willing to take a risk on themselves and less guided by this illusion of inadequacy or lack of capability or lack of potential. We're going to start awakening to the fact that, wow, like, I'm actually more capable than I thought I was. Like, I'm actually smarter than I thought I was. Like, I actually can do more than I thought I could. And as a result of that, I no longer feel like I'm susceptible to, we're talking about the Cancer energy too, like, to a lack of security, to the lack of comfort in the same way, because now I know I can trust myself more, so I don't need to rely so much on these external experts and authorities to be the security foundations in my life. Like, that is how the transition is going to happen. And again, it's going to start as a trickle, but it's eventually going to lead to this floodgate of people waking up to their own potential to just, self-actualization is the path that we are on, and it's about activating, you know, a higher destiny and finding our purpose. But the first steps coming through, I think, on a more collective level, being represented through these moments that are presenting as we move through this solstice/full moon energy, and through what comes over the course of the next month, are going to start opening our eyes to the truth of what we're really capable of. And that is going to be very life-changing for a lot of people, which grand crosses like have a tendency of producing life-changing results and effects as well, by way of what we overcome and the power that we discover within us through the process of what it is that we overcome. Okay, so this is going to be quite an empowering period of time that we're moving through. However, I do feel like it is also bringing up, of course, it's a grand cross, major clashes, conflicts. We could see battles and wars and stuff like that playing out as people vie, or as the two sides of the equation, rather, like the older version, like, does whatever it takes to try to maintain and hang on to the power that they've had, and this new emerging version steps into their own power. It's not even like they're taking power away from the older version of things. It's more like they're just awakening to and stepping into their own potential and their own power. And as a result of that, it is upsetting the balance of things and the grip of control that the previous paradigm had over the emerging reality. So it's a change of guard. And I find that to be very synchronistic as well, because 0 degrees of Cancer, where the solstice happens every year, the Sabian symbol for 1 degree of Cancer, remember I said we round up when we look at the Sabian symbols, that degree, that Sabian symbol is on a ship. Sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. So it's like literally indicating the change of guard, which to me is very appropriate because that happens every year on the summer solstice. That's our summer solstice degree. And what is the solstice? That is the time when we have the greatest amount of light, and, you know, or if you're on the other side of the world, the greatest amount of dark. But after that point, things start to change. It's the change of guard. So, and I think that that's what's going on here as well when we're talking about a square featuring 29 degree mutable energy and 1 degree cardinal energy. And the 29 degree mutable energy being Neptune and the black moon, the illusion of fear that has like colored our perspective and our mind up until this point of time. Okay, so people are going to start, as I was saying, people are going to start betting on themselves, I think, and choosing not to continue to, like, for example, bow to the corporate overlords out of the safety that is provided through that position, but instead to decide to innovate and to break from tradition and to, like, do something new and different, take a risk, which is maybe something they never would have ever considered in the past, but now, because we are gaining this new self-perception, essentially, we feel like we're at a point where it's worth the risk as the old ways and the old rules and stuff like that become more, like, honestly, like, unbearable on the soul as the energy changes and we move stronger and stronger into this Aquarian energy that is very, very uncomfortable and will pretty much do anything to not feel trapped in an overly structured situation. Okay, so if you feel that stirring within you, or if you're noticing people who are just sort of like in droves needing to make a change, especially in terms of like their professional life or situations to do with like a work environment and stuff over the course of this month, that is also really being indicated. And you know, as I said, this is Gemini season supercharged, very strong emphasis on polarities, choices, decisions, and the process of growth, development, and maturity underway. And as we come more into our own, like, this is another thing that this is making me think of. If you guys watched my new moon video, I mentioned this earlier in the report. I was talking about the process of maturity that has really been indicated throughout this period of time, and in the context of sort of like the old ways falling away and a new sort of like reign of human experience coming into existence as we're shifting paradigms right now. And as I was just saying, like, the old ways sort of like gripping power, trying to maintain their grip on power and control, and really wanting to like destroy and take with them everything that they've built on their way out. And then the new energy that is not really being on the offense as much, but is more so just like coming into their own and coming into their power and starting to assert themselves. It does remind me sort of the experience of like a young child learning to walk, gaining its independence, and gaining their own perspective and opinions and stuff juxtaposed to the parents. You know what I mean? Like that is sort of what this vibe feels like to me, and the conflict that can come from the child now wanting to break away, wanting to go in their own direction, maybe wanting to do things a different way, maybe wanting to defy tradition, maybe wanting to defy the rules, and the parental response to that type of thing. Okay, so I don't know, like that's just kind of like what this energy is giving to me, playing out in so many different ways. Death and rebirth, endings and beginnings for sure, happening in the context of the solstice. This is the full light, right? This is fiery, inspiring, motivational, passionate, heated energy we could really see. As I said, I feel like this is a full moon energy. Like tension I do think is going to be rising here over this next couple of weeks. The birth with the first degree of the Cancer Capricorn energy going on, of the moon in Capricorn, the inner authority, okay? Like the inner authority. Moon rules our inner environment, our feelings, what's going on inside of us, and Capricorn is the authority. Capricorn is the control. Capricorn is the structure. When we've got it juxtaposed to the moon or the black moon and Neptune in opposition at 29 degrees, this is the breakdown of the illusion of fears that have distorted our perception and taking back some sense of inner authority in regards to what? The sun in the sign of Cancer, reflecting on and building a new emotional framework, taking responsibility, moon in the sign of Capricorn, for the needs and the security and the comfort and the nourishment of ourselves, of our families, and of our communities, okay? This will be a period of time also of prioritizing the needs of the inside as opposed to the outside. The inside world, our inner world, what's close to us, who we love, our family, our friends, our communities, as opposed to the outside, external world and all that's going on out there. We're going to be more involved locally, I think, over this period of time in decisions that do impact families and communities. I would expect to see more people getting like involved in honestly like local government and stuff like that as well. A rising sentiment that we can take care of, govern, and provide for ourselves better than some external authority could possibly ever do that for us. Like, and we're no longer allowing ourselves to be controlled by these false fears and these false illusions of incompetence. We don't need you anymore. Like, we got this. You know what I mean? Like, I do think that communities, local, like small communities and stuff like that, are going to begin banding together to be more self-governing or self-functioning somehow. And again, it has everything to do with the alignment of these planets in terms of why I'm saying that. Like, I really think that that is basically what this is all boiling down to. And I said, this is part one of another full moon that's going to come up in July that is at the opposite end of this same signal axis, the same signal polarity in perfect order, right? With this super Gemini season that we have going on right now, and the themes of doubles, reflections, and oppositions. So we've got another moon coming up next month, and I do think between now and then we are going to see big rises in tension, probably some type of shocking or unexpected event that happens. Maybe the second, I'm thinking like this sometime between maybe the second and third week of July, that is sort of like the release valve for the pressure that is building over this next couple of weeks. That's because we're going to have that Mars-Uranus conjunction that's going to happen. I think it's like around the 15th, somewhere like that, of July. And that is really big, especially when I'm seeing the equinox chart / full moon chart that's featuring this grand cross and these endings and beginnings. So now that I've gotten this far in the report, I hope I've been clear enough. I've honestly, full disclosure, I've been having a really hard time articulating myself over this past couple days as I'm recording these videos. Mercury is coming into a square with Neptune. Mercury is my chart ruler. Neptune and Mercury in a square. Whenever this happens, I always have a very hard time, like, articulating in like a linear, coherent, tangible way what it is that I'm picking up on. So this one, last one, the one before that, if you feel it seems like I'm off my game a little bit, that's why, that Mercury Neptune square. So it's a little bit of a struggle inside my head to get these words out clearly. So I hope by this point in this report, I am sort of driving the point home as to why I'm making these specific calls in terms of this specific chart dynamic, the way it's laying out, even though we really don't have that many aspects going on. We do have a bit of a secondary aspect going on between Mars and Mercury are in an exact sextile between Taurus and Cancer. Because this is Gemini season again, like, and the solstice, everything, I do think that this is going to be sort of like a spicy couple of weeks that we've got coming up here. And I will also say, remember the position of the sun for the solstice, on a ship, the sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. And we do have the Sabian symbol where the full moon itself is occurring. Remember earlier I said I'm looking at 2 degrees of Cancer and Capricorn for the polarity in terms of the Sabian symbols that are describing this energy, and 2 degrees of Capricorn where this full moon is falling. 3 stained glass windows in a Gothic church, 1 damaged by war. And you know, it is a spiritual battle underway between the controllers of the past paradigm that is losing its grip on power and control right now, and the freedom of the future that is incoming as we move forth into this new Aquarian age of collective self-actualization, followed by a return into more actually golden age energy that's coming up over the next several thousand years, as actually our transit through the universe brings us back into a closer connection to the galactic center, and we are able to receive more emanations of galactic energy, which there is some speculation is actually one of the things that is responsible for the big evolutionary periods that happen in history and on Earth and within humanity and the experience of life across the planet. So we are headed towards a several thousand year period right now of collective and universal evolution and growth in the context of our planet and our experience. And where we're at right now is one page, one chapter that is moving us forward in that direction. And the battle of the ages, you know, the endless battle between light and dark, like that is really a focal point here as well on an energetic level, as the emphasis, the energetic emphasis, and that was empowered in the past fades away, right? This mutable energy and the emergence of the new energy that will define the future going forward begins to come into greater and greater fruition, dispelling the illusions of fear that have defined the past and marking a critical transition point in our shift of the ages, and the breakthroughs that are going to come through this next several weeks, through the rest of the summer, through the rest of 2024, I think will become a greater and greater reflection of this concept as we move forward in time, and we really begin to see very evidently in our physical 3D reality the breakdown of the matrix represented through or representative of this paradigm of the past and the age of Pisces that we are moving through and out of and away from now. And it's going to be replaced, you guys, by novelty, innovation, unexpected advances in literally everything. This Aquarian frequency that's going to become stronger and stronger and more powerful over the next 20 years, you guys. I'm telling you, this 20 years is going to redefine the nature of our reality, with Pluto entering the sign of Aquarius right now. I do perceive that as the rooting. Pluto rules the underworld. Pluto is the root. Pluto is the core of something. The rooting of the Aquarian energy that is representing the greater age of Aquarius that we are transitioning into now, like to our physical reality, to our paradigm, to our energetic experience of life on this planet. So, you know, big stuff that we're moving through right now. It is probably going to reflect that the old world, you know, it's not going to let go easily. We're talking about power structures that have been in place for perhaps thousands of years, for ages, literally. And they're probably going to try to destroy and take with them everything that they've built and feel entitled to as they go through their demise. So we are likely to see a lot of destruction, a lot of, again, like this like war type of situation, and the breakdowns in authority and in power and control generally, hence, right, the spiritual battle of the ages that is underway, as well the position of the full moon, the 3 glass or stained glass windows in the Gothic church, one damaged by war. So that's what I'm thinking, you guys. That's what this is looking like to me. It does look like people are probably going to be a little bit stressed. Again, like there is this like building tension. We are looking at at least a T-square if you're not counting the black moon. If you are, this is a pretty powerful grand cross that's going on. To me, it is indicating a major transition point, a major like things being in the crosshairs, a major like, I mean, it's a shift in power. It's a change in guard, but one side is not going to be as receptive, I feel like, to this change as perhaps the side stepping into power is going to be. So there could just be some things that are popping off. We could just see some general worldwide kind of tension going on. And also we could be experiencing conflict or clashes with various aspects of our own lives that have defined the past, coming up against things that are pulling us forward into the future. So that's what I'm thinking, you guys. That's what I have to say. Again, I hope that that was understandable. I'm not exactly sure that it was, but I hope so. And I'm going to get us a synchronicity card now that will hopefully be a little bit more clear about something that we should keep in mind, or just a theme to understand that's going on here, or what do we need to know, or what is just a good piece of advice for us as we do move forward through this energy over this next couple of weeks. There's one. And our guidance in association with this full moon energy that we have says, don't fight it, right? It's about surrender. It's about release. It's about letting things go right now and allowing for being receptive to the transitional and transformational processes that are underway. Release those subject to bondage. Hebrews 2:15. This grand cross. Whatever type of restriction or bondage you find yourself experiencing, don't fight against it mentally. Know God will open up a new door for you and lead you to peace and freedom. So, you know, building tension over this next couple of weeks, we want to try not to let it get the best of us, right? Not to fight against the changes that are underway right now, and to trust, to have faith, to understand Jupiter in the sign of Gemini, okay? Opportunities, unexpected opportunities, bigger than you might have expected opportunities, interesting opportunities, people, conversations, interactions, like more than you might expect coming in over the course of this next year with Jupiter transiting the sign of Gemini. And this says God will open up a new door for you. Like, we are preparing to move in a whole new direction, to open to a whole nother side of ourselves. Again, everything that this is coming back to is our own process of personal growth that we are being released into now. And we may have to fight for it. We may have to come up against forces that maybe would seek to prevent us from moving in this new direction. But this is literally saying, like, we don't need to worry about it. We don't need to fight against it, and that the opportunities are going to be in place. The doors are going to open when the time is right, that will allow us to emerge into this new version. Because another thing, right, when we're talking about Neptune, we're talking about the fears. Saturn also right now in the sign of Pisces, like, the control is an illusion. The fears are an illusion. They may have been real enough within our own mind to really influence our experiences in a very tangible way up until this point in time, but Neptune breaks things down. Neptune erodes things. Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. This is the end of an era. So don't fight against it, you guys. The doors are gonna open up. We just need to keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving towards what we know is the right next step for us. So that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna stop talking now. Message from the chart and from the stars and from the synchronicity cards. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content, narrating the shift of the ages with us. Leave me comments. I'm so grateful for all of you guys. You're a treasure to me. I truly value what you guys have to say, your feedback, your experiences. I really appreciate knowing what's going on with you out there. If you are having experiences that are a reflection of what I'm talking about in this video, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know the entirety of this whiteboard over here, I post those in a Facebook group that I have linked in my description box below. That's where you can find that, and come back with me on Monday, you guys. We will have more astrology and a new week. I haven't looked at the energy of next week yet, so I don't have like a little preview to say of what's coming, but it'll probably be good, and I will be here to talk about it, so you should be here too. You don't want to miss it, and I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. So have a beautiful full moon, and until then, bye. Oh, and solstice also. Bye.